Now live on 10 Tampa Bay. Tracking the tropics just 2 weeks after Hurricane Helene, and the Bay Area is bracing for another storm. As we watch and wait to see where it will make landfall, the steps the Bay Area is taking to make sure you're prepared for the storm. Flooding is a common issue for some Bay Area homeowners. A look at how it could make things harder when you're ready to sell.
Keeping you informed, prepared, and connected. You're watching 10 Tampa Bay.
Tonight, about half of Florida is under a state of emergency ahead of Tropical Storm Milton.
Well, right off the top here at 6 o'clock, I know it's a different Monday. Schools canceled here from Collier, Lee, into Charlotte County through at least Thursday. And as we look outside, we're dealing with some rainfall around town. This is a live look there at Fort Myers Beach, where all attention will be on the storm surge here in the next couple of days. As you wake up on this Monday, we have a lot to get through. The new 5 o'clock advisory triggered watches up and down our coastline, and that includes tropical storm and hurricane watches for all of Southwest Florida.
Good morning, Tampa Bay. Let's get your day started. This is ABC Action News, taking action for you. Now at 8, tracking Tropical Storm Milton, Governor DeSantis declares a state of emergency in 35 counties. They include Citrus, Hernando, Hillsborough, Manatee, Pasco, Pinellas, Polk, and Sarasota County. Good morning, Tampa Bay. I'm Heather Lee. Thanks so much for joining us this morning. And they will also be holding a 9:30 a.m. presser, and we will be taking that live here on air. It was supposed to be at 9 a.m. They bumped it to 9:30, so we'll just, of course, be following those developments.
The Fox 29 Morning News starts now. We've got you covered.
This morning, Florida is tracking a major hurricane threat, Hurricane Milton, barreling towards Florida, with thousands across the state now preparing to evacuate.
And as Milton picks up steam, people in our area are getting ready. What you need to know to be storm prepared and where you can pick up sandbags.
And at least one county is closing school ahead of the storm, with more closures possible. We have you covered on all angles of Hurricane Milton. Well, our team is here with you, getting you prepared for what's to come. This morning, we have reporters live in Martin and Okeechobee counties.
Floridians still reeling from the impact of Helene less than 2 weeks ago. Now bracing for another big hit.
Just make your plans. Pack only the essential things that you need. Get out of town and come somewhere to be safe.
How people are getting ready across the state and helping out.
It has been 1 year since Hamas attacked Israel.
We were in shock, and I think now we're at a point of disbelief that it's a year later and we're still here.
A look back on that day and how the conflict has broadened and escalated since then.
WEAR News at 5 starts now.
Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us. Look at the scene. Live pictures now, less than 2 weeks after Helene made landfall in Florida's Big Bend as a Cat 4 hurricane. An even stronger storm right now is taking aim at the state's west coast. This is a live look at Interstate 275 heading north in Pasco County. It's one of the 12 Florida counties now under mandatory evacuation orders. Milton, now the 13th named storm of the Atlantic hurricane season.
Our Chief Meteorologist Alan Strom, of course, tracking the situation there. Alan, the intensity of this thing and the rapid way and the pace that it reached a Category 5.
Yeah, it reminds me of the one that struck Acapulco last year.
This is a Next Weather Alert from CBS News Miami.
Right at the top at 7, we are tracking Hurricane Milton, the storm strengthening into a Category 5 hurricane in the Gulf of Mexico on a path toward Florida. Miami-Dade and Broward counties are under a tropical storm watch, and the Keys are under a tropical storm warning. Plus, Miami-Dade, Broward, and Catholic schools are closed Wednesday. Parts of Broward County are experiencing flooding from today's rain unrelated to Milton. Chopper 4 flew over Fort Lauderdale today, as you see some streets have standing water on them. Multiple evacuation orders are in place on the west coast of Florida. Let's turn now to Next Weather Chief Meteorologist and Hurricane Specialist Ivan Cabrera for the latest track on Milton.
Yeah, the beginning for them, but what is going to be a long haul here for us.
eyes are on Hurricane Milton. There are mandatory evacuation orders in counties all across the Bay Area. Shelters are now open and people are preparing their homes again, just 11 days after Hurricane Helene made landfall. We have complete team coverage on Tampa Bay tonight. Good evening and thank you for joining us.
This is News at 11 on WCJB TV 20, your local station.
Hurricane Milton is now projected to hit Florida's coast in the overnight hours Wednesday into Thursday. TV 20 meteorologist Bradley Benoit is here to tell us about the track Milton could take towards the coast.
Yeah, that's right, Dave. In fact, we do have the latest track. I'll show you that in just a second. First off, the storm has weakened a touch. Look, it's still a very intense and dangerous storm. You can see earlier today, a little bit better organized, clear eye. Notice the eye has kind of started to fill in a little bit.
Live from our hurricane headquarters with real-time analysis from some of the nation's top meteorologists, this is Tracking the Tropics, powered by Bose Electric.
Breaking news here on Tracking the Tropics. A big shift south in the NHC's 5 o'clock advisory with a forecast cone now going through Manatee and Sarasota counties. Following the spaghetti models that we told you about in the last hour, we now have a track shift that is noteworthy enough for us to break down on stream. We're going to discuss what it means for the Tampa Bay area here from the Stream Center. Welcome in to Tracking the Tropics once again for the 5 o'clock update. JB here with you alongside meteorologist Eric Stone.
That will do it for us at 5:30.
And it's time now for your news at 6.
Developing now, growing fears as monster Hurricane Milton turns across the Gulf.
Florida highways clogged as thousands of families flee the Gulf Coast. Milton's getting stronger. It's once again a Category 5 hurricane. I'm Chief Certified Meteorologist Betty Davis with the new advisory.
I'm Andrew Perez near St. Pete with the final preps for Hurricane Milton and the Tampa mayor's dire warning.
I'm Janice Fernandez in Sarasota County with the race to escape, why it's the last chance for people to get out.
Many evacuees are riding out the storm right here in South Florida. I'm Roy Ramos with what they just told me.
I'm hurricane specialist and storm surge expert Mike Galari with the latest data from hurricane hunters, battling dangerous conditions to inform life-saving advisories.
Plus 1,000 Florida gas stations now out of fuel. Will we feel the pain at the pump? The news at 6 starts now. And good evening. Off the top at 6 tonight, we are tracking Milton, which has regained strength in the Gulf and is back to a very powerful Category 5 hurricane. It is still on pace to smash into Florida's Gulf Coast. South Florida is out of the cone of concern, but we are under a tropical storm warning.
Florida highways are clogged as millions of people are heeding the warnings and hitting the road. They are wisely getting out of town before Milton arrives.
And check out this very bumpy ride for the hurricane hunters who are flying right into Milton's path. Critical data from these missions help inform the important forecasts from the National Hurricane Center.
Miami-Dade schools will be closed tomorrow and Thursday.
Right now at 6, we're continuing to keep you covered as Hurricane Milton heads towards the Sunshine State.
Basically, the entire peninsula portion of Florida is under some type of either a watch or a warning.
While some Floridians flee with just hours to spare, others are preparing for the worst and hoping for the best.
I'm just praying that when this really starts to affect us, that the tide will be low and we won't have as much of an impact.
Severe Weather Team 9 will be with you with up-to-the-minute coverage as Florida braces for this powerful storm.
When we get this thing a little closer to land, we're going to get like hourly updates on it, but by then it's we're going to be in full-time mode here.
From the latest advisories to school closures to reports from the field, we have live in-depth coverage of Hurricane Milton.
Again, we saw it basically yesterday morning as a Cat 1 up to a Cat 5 in one day. Explosive, then it dropped to a 4, then a 3, and now back to a Category 5. Good evening. It's now 6 o'clock. I'm Greg Wormuth.
And I'm Martha Sagowski.
Florida residents have less than 24 hours before they'll start feeling impacts from Hurricane Milton. I'm Rebecca Castor in Tampa with the latest on the storm coming up.
Milton still packing a punch this evening. The Category 5 storm, well, trying to weaken very slowly, but it's inching closer and closer to the west coast of Florida.
Plus, it's happened again. The Vermilion Parish school system is the latest target of a cyber attack here in Acadiana. We'll hear from our tech expert about what needs to be done to prevent these attacks from continuing.
And Louisiana is joining a group of states suing TikTok. Why they say the social media platform is addictive and can harm your child's mental health.
You're watching News 15 at 10. Honored as the state's best newscast by the Louisiana Association of Broadcasters.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Jim Hummel.
And I'm Marcel Fontenot. Thank you for choosing News 15 tonight at 10 o'clock. We begin with new development.
You choose to stay, you're staying at your own risk.
A stern reminder tonight for people in Florida who chose to ride out this storm. A lot of state leaders encouraging everyone to evacuate before the catastrophic storm makes landfall.
Plus, some of those evacuees are staying in Pensacola, waiting for Milton to move out. Fox 10 News at 10 starts now.
Pretty good. Yeah, take a look at the turbulence going on the WP-3D Orion aircraft. A brave crew from NOAA collecting that data of Milton flying straight through it. The data they get from this storm is used for hurricane research, and Milton will bring a high storm surge, strong winds as it churns towards Florida.
Local officials urging residents to stay indoors when Milton arrives.
As it comes through, we won't have any time tomorrow to make other decisions.
Air travel out of our area's largest airport shutting down in just hours as time runs out for people in its path to get to safer spots.
This one coming, we're going to lose everything.
Florida's Gulf Coast bracing for impact from another major hurricane.
This is not survivable.
The preparations in place across the state and our area to keep even the most vulnerable safe.
It's really important for them to know that there's a place to go.
The news starts now. Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us. I'm Liz Kidantis. Hurricane Milton is maintaining a Category 5 storm status. While it's forecast to weaken before landfall, the hurricane force winds and storm surge could cause catastrophic damage.
The new and improved News 6 app is here. We've updated everything and added new features to make it even better, like a more customizable home screen where you can log in and see the stories important to you at a glance. Stream News 6 and News 6 Plus live anywhere, anytime with picture-in-picture playback while you're using other apps on your phone. And now, the More For You section, which offers even more options for you to choose from. Download or update your app today. The new and improved News 6 app.
It is 2:31 a.m. and Hurricane Milton is on a path towards Florida this morning and still forecast to make landfall as a major hurricane.
And Central Floridians are bracing for the worst and taking steps to protect their homes and properties, all as thousands along the coast pack up and leave. Thanks for being with us for extended coverage of Hurricane Milton here on News 6. I'm Bridget Ellison.
And I'm Lewis Bolden. Let's get straight over to meteorologist Samara Kokinos with the very latest on Milton's track. And Samara, are we still right in the middle of that cone?
We are looking at basically, yes, most of Central Florida is still in the center of that cone. But
from WPBF 25 News, this is continuing coverage of Milton.
It is 4:30 right now. The cone for Hurricane Milton moving slightly south as you're waking up. On this Wednesday morning, we are getting you caught up with everything you need to know as we are tracking this massive storm.
Take a look at your screen. Here are the watches and warnings that you need to know about this morning. The hurricane warning now in effect for 3 of our counties, St. Lucie, Indian River, and Okeechobee counties. A hurricane watch also in effect for Martin County.
As we've been telling you, landfall with Hurricane Milton expected late tonight into the early morning hours. And obviously, we are all now bracing for impact.
Yeah, we are. Kennedy Mason is in Iona area. She's been talking with people who live right near the coast, an area that saw a lot of storm surge 2 years ago with Ian.
Right now at 7, we are tracking Hurricane Milton as the major storm moves closer to Florida. It's set to make landfall within the next couple of hours, and we have been feeling its effects.
All right, take a look at our live radar network right now. Milton's outer band sweeping across the state of Florida, prompting various tornado warnings throughout the day.
And tonight we're seeing tornado damage at the St. Lucie County Sheriff's Office. Just a devastating twister touching down, damaging the 10,000 square foot Sheriff's Office facility in just a matter of seconds.
Now at 10, a monster storm slamming the Sunshine State.
A ferocious Hurricane Milton storming ashore, barreling through West Coast coastal towns and cities like Sarasota.
The system spawning terrifying tornadoes.
I heard a piece of glass crack and sucked the whole roof off.
Much of Fort Myers nailed, entire neighborhoods torn apart.
The east coast of the state also dealing with tornado terror. Mobile home communities decimated.
It's just kind of heartbreaking.
First responders taking cover when a twister hit their headquarters.
This thing came through and took this out within a moment.
Drivers from storm-ravaged cities trying to get out of harm's way and stunned by the spinning sights they saw heading east on Alligator Alley.
Great, we get away from the hurricane, but here we are, tornadoes now.
So many other parts of Florida seeing damage as well. Milton's wrath felt far and wide.
And we've already seen the extent of the damage done, and the full scope of this disaster will likely be even worse when the sun comes up.
Extensive night team coverage, tracking Milton.
Hurricane Milton making landfall tonight in Siesta Key as a major Category 3 system. Hello and welcome, everyone. I'm Balkis Naray.
I'm Craig Stevens. The storm dropped heavy rain, spawned tornadoes, and pushed in feet of storm surge along the Gulf Coast.
7 News' night team coverage across the Sunshine State tonight. First up, Nicole Ensalada in Sarasota, just north of where that storm hit. Nicole.
Milton makes landfall in darkness as a major hurricane. First Coast News crews are deployed across the First Coast as the storm makes its way across Florida. The First Coast's most accurate weather team is watching Milton's every move as the effects of the storm will soon reach parts of the First Coast.
The heavy rain for the rest of us will be increasing through the night,
keeping you safe and informed. This is First Coast News on your side.
Breaking news tonight, Hurricane Milton making landfall in Siesta Key on Florida's southwest side around 8:30 this evening. And this is video of the storm surge in Fort Myers, south of where the storm came ashore.
And the system spawning dozens of tornadoes across southern Florida. This is video of a large tornado crossing I-95 this afternoon in Fort Pierce.
Milton tears through Florida.
Tornado just ripped through there,
destroying homes and threatening lives.
I saw the tornado coming. I yelled for my wife to come look at it. I heard a piece of glass crack and sucked the whole roof off.
Now in the dark of night, our area braces for the worst.
You can just see the conditions continuing to deteriorate.
What you need to know right now before you go to bed tonight. Action News Jack's coverage of Hurricane Milton continues right now at 11. And here we go. Here's the updated forecast track for Milton. Just in from the National Hurricane Center. The storm made landfall 3 hours ago and is now crossing the state. It is a Category 2 storm. This is a live look at Tampa Bay. Florida's Gulf Coast took the first hit, and it's too dark right now to see the full damage assessment, but you can see that wind and rain. And here's a look at a tornado in Fort Pierce. You can see it in the distance. We showed some video a few hours ago of tornado damage in Palm Beach Gardens and also Loxahatchee. That's the West Palm Beach area. Tremendous damage there. Florida now feeling the wrath of Hurricane Milton. I'm Ben Becker.
And I'm Tanika Hughes. This is Action News Jax at 11.
Hurricane Milton makes landfall near Siesta Key, Florida as a Category 3 storm. It's the second major hurricane to hit the state in less than 2 weeks, bringing triple-digit wind speeds and life-threatening storm surge. A series of tornadoes preceded the storm, and more than 1 million people have lost power. State and federal officials say tens of thousands of linemen and military personnel are on the ground ready to respond. Now at 11, here's stories from reporters on the ground in Central Florida and what to expect in the coming days.
Just an astounding night of tropical action here in the Sunshine State, farther south from where we are. I'm First to Know Chief Meteorologist Casanova Nurse. Let's get you going with what you need to know about Milton right now. It is over land near the Interstate 4 corridor.
This is NBC 15 News.
Hurricane Milton made landfall near Siesta Key, Florida as a Category 3 a little more than 2 hours ago. But effects of Milton could be seen throughout the day in the Gulf of Mexico. This terrifying video was taken inside of the storm by cell drone. It recorded wave heights up to 28 feet. Now, the outer bands of the storm lashed Florida's Gulf Coast as Milton barreled toward the Sunshine State. Waves crashing into piers, and as you can see, it's just throwing boats back and forth. As the storm made landfall, storm chaser Brett Adair got this video of power lines sparking in Nokomis.
News 5 at 11 is sponsored by Vern and Ellsworth Hand, Northeast Ohio's heating, cooling, plumbing, and boiler experts.
In your community and following through on stories that matter to you. This is News 5 at 11.
Thanks for being with us. I'm Rob Powers. Here's a look at what we're working on now at 11.
It's all volunteer. They are not getting paid for the time that they took off work.
As Hurricane Milton barrels into Florida, local canine search and rescue teams like the one you see here, they're on standby while also assisting in the aftermath of Helene.
It is? Okay, good boy. Tasks just like that are leading an East Coast hurricane recovery mission. I'm Kaylee Olivas here in Cleveland. How local dogs like him are working to bring families closure.
Plus,
in the past few weeks, it's been a safety concern for us.
In the midst of Browns football season, there are changes to the downtown tailgate parties on West 6th.
According to this sign, there's a tailgate planned for October 20th, but city leaders say that's been canceled. I'll tell you why next.
Those stories and more tonight. But first, meteorologist Phil Sakel with the latest on Hurricane Milton making landfall just a few hours ago.
Indeed, Rob. Landfall 8:30 p.m. as a Category 3 hurricane, 120-mile-per-hour winds right around Siesta Key, Florida.
This is CBS News, Texas.
Right now at 10 o'clock, Hurricane Milton slamming into Florida's Gulf Coast. It is now weakened into a Category 2 storm, but still bringing very powerful winds, flooding, and more than 1 million power outages. This is CBS News Texas at 10, and it's our big story. I'm Nicole Baker.
It's all everybody's talking about. I'm Doug Dunbar. Milton made landfall. It was about 2 hours ago near Siesta Key, which is well south of the Tampa Bay area. The hurricane bringing a dangerous storm surge to many parts of southwest Florida's coast tonight.
Hurricane Milton's worst damage is in southwest Florida, where tornadoes hit before the storm even made landfall. And in Tampa, video shows the fabric roof of a Tropicana field is ripped to shreds. 2 hours of Milton coverage is straight ahead.
This is WCJB TV 20's Morning Edition.
3 million Floridians are without power after Hurricane Milton made landfall.
27 confirmed tornadoes have been sighted, mostly in St. Lucie County, and we know at least one person was sent to the hospital in Marion County after a tree fell on their home. We have team coverage for you, beginning with our TV 20 Chief Meteorologist, Mike Potter.
Well, Myra, a little bit of better news on the horizon for us as Milton moving off the east central coast of Florida, leaving the coast near Cape Canaveral.
Hurricane Milton leads to a path of destruction, a surge of tornadoes across South Florida.
Oh my gosh, it's really plowing down.
That's a tornado.
Multiple deaths reported in St. Lucie County.
And this community was hit from what the Dopplers are showing. We got hit the hardest, the quickest.
Homes destroyed, roofs ripped off, cars thrown and flipped. This morning, we're assessing the damage after a historic tornado outbreak across the Palm Beaches and the Treasure Coast.
From WPBF 25 News, this is continuing coverage of Milton.
Good morning. I am Natalie Pozo alongside Stephen Graves. You can see our team of reporters and meteorologists tracking Hurricane Milton, the damage here in our area after we saw several tornadoes hit our area.
From Fox 5, this is the Noon. The damage coming in after Milton slams Florida.
We are staged with massive amounts of search and rescue assets.
New video just in of toppled buildings, flooded streets, and what's left behind after a series of deadly tornadoes. This is Fox 5 live team coverage of Hurricane Milton.
Well, welcome to the Noon on this Thursday. I'm Bianca Peters. Milton made landfall last night as a Category 3 storm 70 miles south of Tampa in Siesta Key. So here's what we know right now.
This is CBS 12 News at 3.
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. Thank you so much for joining us at 3 o'clock. I'm Lily Ortiz. On the aftermath of Hurricane Milton, we are learning that there are 5 confirmed deaths in St. Lucie County, but that number could rise as soon as the
Hurricane Milton has moved out, and tonight, Southwest Florida is left to pick up the pieces. Significant storm surge means barrier islands will have to rebuild again. And it's not just the coast. The storm spawned several tornadoes which devastated neighborhoods, all while hundreds of thousands of Floridians remain in the dark. Tonight, we're taking inventory of the aftermath.
Some of the worst case scenarios did not come to pass.
And sharing stories of people helping their communities bounce back. Fox 4 News starts right now.
And as soon as the sun came up on this Thursday, the recovery process began as Southwest Florida is now starting to pick up the pieces after Hurricane Milton rolled through. Thank you for joining us for our special live coverage of the aftermath of Hurricane Milton right here on Fox 4 News at 6. I'm senior reporter Ryan Kruger.
From Wesh 2, this is continuing coverage of the impact of Milton.
Tonight at 6, cleanup underway in Florida after Hurricane Milton unleashed its fury.
In Volusia County, floodwaters rose and trees fell, and now several people are dead.
2 of the deaths were from falling trees. 1 of the deaths was from boarding up their property, and they took a heart attack while doing so, and another was a cardiac arrest that first responders could not get there in time.
Our reporters are all across Central Florida.
Look where this tree is. It fell across East Anderson.
Traveling down to the Treasure Coast.
This is not even the worst of what we've seen in the area. Over in Fort Pierce, there were roofs caved in.
And to the Gulf Coast in Tampa.
You can see that gentleman laying in a raft here. We've seen people walking in waist-deep water.
Wesh 2 News bringing you team coverage on the impacts of Milton.
And thank you so much for joining us tonight. Flooding is still a big issue along Florida's Gulf Coast.
This is 7 News at 6:30.
First up here at 6:30, the damage done after a monster of a storm slammed into Florida, the wicked winds that left a mark in our area as well. Hello and good evening, everyone. Milton was the strongest hurricane in the Gulf of Mexico to form so late in the season.
Sure was, and it caused deadly devastation and a lot of damage. From the properties destroyed to the flood rescues, 7 News has extensive team coverage. We begin with Brandon Beyer.
This is WPTV News at 7.
Devastation across Palm Beach County and the Treasure Coast as Hurricane Milton leaves its mark. Tornadoes from the storm tearing through the region.
That is a tornado confirmed.
The WPTV First Alert Weather Team on air and online all day, keeping you informed and safe.
Now, I've covered a ton of hurricanes here. I've never seen anything like this.
Our team of reporters, the largest in the area, bringing a constant stream of updates from communities up and down the coast, including Wellington, where residents are picking up after homes were ravaged and vehicles overturned.
There's nothing left of it.
And in St. Lucie County, where at least 5 people lost their lives and even more homes destroyed.
At this hour, first responders still working tirelessly to assess the damage, help survivors, and restore vital services. Milton has exited our coast, but its impact on our neighbors, our homes, our families remains.
Very lucky to be alive.
It's just very sad.
It's hard when you lived here for 10 years and this is the worst it's ever hit. It's really bad.
It was the most frightening thing I've ever lived through.
We can't leave the neighborhood. It's all cut off.
I'm seeing a lot of damage. I'm seeing roofs gone, carports gone.
Trust the most accurate weather team. Stream now on First Coast News Plus. This is First Coast News on your side. We begin with breaking news.
And that breaking news right now at 7, an officer-involved incident under investigation. This is on Justina Road near the intersection of University Boulevard and Merrill Road.
So we just learned a few minutes ago that a suspect pulled a gun while running from police after a drug deal.
Where the news comes first. This is KCRA 3 News at 6:30.
There is a developing situation out of Colorado right now. An equipment malfunction at a tourist gold mine killed one person and 12 others are still trapped right now.
Yeah, this is happening at the Molly Kathleen gold mine. That's in Cripple Creek. That's southwest of Colorado Springs. This is a popular attraction billed.
There's a lot of smiles at the end here, so there's a big happy ending to an otherwise tragic.
The final 12 people stuck in a mining shaft are rescued. Officials say that one individual is dead, but many other people were able to get out of this mining shaft. The latest details on the rescue mission at 10.
And experts have noticed more unaffiliated voters casting ballots. Tonight, the highlights from a community discussion on the trend and the details on what it could mean for local politics.
This is KOAA News 5 at 10.
Good evening and thanks for watching News 5 at 10. I'm Megan Cloherty. After nearly 6 hours, Teller County officials have rescued the second group of 12 people who were still trapped 1,000 feet below ground at the Molly Kathleen gold mine tour in Cripple Creek. The call for help came in around 12:30 today after officials say another group of 12 were initially stuck in the elevator bringing them up from the mine.